Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in Canada has yet again very recently shown just how anti-freedom and anti-democracy he actually is.
We have a robust functioning democracy, and protests, public protests, are an important part of making sure we're getting messages out there, and Canadians are getting messages out there and highlighting how they feel about various issues. But using protests to demand changes to public policy is something that I think is worrisome.
Okay. So here we have the Prime Minister of Canada saying that, yes, we have a highly functioning democracy and people's voices, the Canadian people's voices should be heard and they have the right and freedom to protest. However, if those protests are used to demand change in government policy, then no, that shouldn't be allowed. Just in that statement in and of itself, you got to wonder how this guy doesn't see the hypocrisy in his singular phrase.
That was former Hawaii Representative Tulsi Gabbard blasting the Canadian government's response to protests, which I know is a subject you've covered quite a bit, Batya, and you've brought on some great guests for us on Rising who have commented on how the Canadian government effectively tried to criminalize protest with regard to COVID policies, truckers, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just so funny for him to say we support protests, but not when they're demanding change. Like, what do you think protests are for? Like, what exactly do you support then? Just people marching and saying nothing? Like a silent... I mean, that's literally the purpose of protests. So if you're saying I only support protests where they don't demand change, you don't support protests, you don't support free speech.